code here shortly. Double check that things are spinning up proper. It's already looking good. Very, very nice. I'm just waiting for it to actually confirm. Cool. And let me switch over to game screen. Hello, hello. It's been a while. Let's talk about my progress and what I'm up to. So, I figured out a big bug, and I'm actually getting a login to Snowball Exchange successfully now, which is awesome. That was a big hindrance to the project, and the fact that we got that means I can now actually start debugging, you know, all my other problem potentials. So probably today we're just going to focus on continuing that pipeline. There's some caveats that I need to clean up. Nothing super major. This is just more of a problem with the whole architecture. And that has to do with what does what. There was a reason they've designed it the way they did. Hey, Dougal. And thank you for the redeem. And I don't necessarily want to step on toes just yet, but I do need to reconsider every service and what they do. So what I can do is take something like this, search for the word install targets, do this, take out the ones that are garbage, and potentially also do this to Snowball. What this is doing is I'm essentially dumping every program that gets compiled. Target. All right. Okay, so the Nell drivers we don't care about. Those can be skipped out. Even all these Nell 3D stuff, these are not programs, they're dependencies. But yeah, so the bottom is the Snowball compiled projects or libraries, and the top one is the server ones. And what you'll see is that there's a lot of projects, especially in server, that have the underscore service name on it, right? And what the problem I'm having is that there are so many services that it is an absolute pain in the ass to do like SRP. Like, who's responsible to what? The answer is it depends. There's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of headaches. And beyond just like sizing up and generating readmes, I need a way to break this down in a more cohesive way. And possibly what I might want to consider working on today is abstracting out services into classes that could be initialized by the binary. And by doing so, I can spin up multiple services with one binary. That shouldn't be a high cost effort, and it would definitely be worth it, because otherwise I have to manage a bazillion different services and flows and things like that. Another issue is dedupe responsibilities. Over the years, Ryzom has evolved and made all these different pipelines of logic. And when I'm following the flow between all the services, it's really hard that all the responsibilities are everywhere. So those are the two big ones I kind of want to touch. I'd rather all be in one service. Me too. In fact, in a case like Snowball, which is just like a small demo program, there's no need for it to have like, oh, you have to spin up 8 servers, right? Just to spin up the Snowball instance. It makes sense on a production scenario where you're going to be scaling out and there are parts of it that can scale out or, should have high stability. But that doesn't stop you from basically creating forks where you have like a singleton binary for dev work, and then you have the current way, which is I'm going to call it the nano service structure for prod, and maybe even have a test server using the singleton binary. You don't need to spin out the entire infrastructure, right, with all these different programs and managing different things with like the uptime and stuff, because it just adds more complication when you want to shut it down, when you want to manage it. So that's kind of my proposal. In order to do so, though, I need to verify that all of these services have an actual purpose and are worthwhile. Because I added this. Login was actually removed from the Ryzom core code base. Well, it wasn't removed. It was like in some abstract subdirectory that wasn't really part of the pipeline. And login has conflicts or weird logic with welcome and front end and a couple other services. And that just makes it really hard to like keep track. So what I'm going to do is I'm creating this list here, as you can see. And what I might do is, okay, let's prefix all of these with wait, why am I having issues remembering? Okay. So prefix all these with server. Okay. And then we'll prefix all these with Snowball. My brain is not braining. There it is. Control-Alt-I. All right. And this just lets me kind of group them and organize them. And what we're trying to do is tag them. And we're going to tag them based on, different concepts. So like, we're going to call it like repo name. And this is just a, kind of like a key that's being used for all the data down here. And then we're going to have like SQL tags. And what's another thing we'd want is basically like, I like realm. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna have like category, and what we can break it down into is we have we'll have like auth, and then we'll have like character select. We'll have like admin. And we'll have like game control. And then maybe also have, well, I know front end is the only one that does it though, but like these are the, we'll just have like game. Okay, and the reason I'm kind of doing this is that some of these tags, if it's just admin related, it's not necessarily essential unless it includes game things. There's a lot of stuff that's just like maintenance. Character select is essentially the handoff right after auth. You also have what's called, server select. This is in EQ terms, but this is technically also like the shard system, kind of. Shards are weird. Shards are like instancing, like pick zone in a sense, but you're not really picking the zone because it's dynamic enough to go to and from. But shards do define a server because in their terminology, they either use application or they use domain. The other thing we need to do is maybe have some sort of file tag, because that's like a storage system as well. And lastly, yeah. I think if I have a list like this is going to make me able to wrap around like responsibilities of every process and service and which ones I need to hit in order to finish the auth chain. So this will take me a little bit, but I think it's worth it. So we'll work on that. What I can do right now, this is being managed on a remote machine, and that's fine. Okay. So server, we can go ahead and kill a lot of this. Okay, there's a lot of these. Let's just close them all. I write a lot of notes. Oh man, dev container got killed, so it has to reload everything. Dev container getting updated is a massive headache with the number of services I have running. RH might have been worthwhile to keep open, but that's all right. So we're going to keep wiki open. He just got home. No. Okay. Ryzom core we can take out. And okay. So let's start doing a breakdown of every service and what they are responsible for. So let's start with admin service. So what we're going to need to do is first, let's just do a search for SQL. You can see that admin service includes SQL, but then it never calls it unless there's like a query command, which there is not. Okay, so what I can just do is say, does it have SQL? Yes, no. Okay. Does it have file? Now, file server, I don't know the term. I think it's FS. Let me look into that real fast. I think there's like some sort of FS project. Because essentially what we can do is just, put a note here. And then file tag, yeah, we're going to find out the FS system if we can. Of course, FS is one of those terms where there's a bazillion results. The backup service has a file system, like C file. Then there's like a sheet system. Most things have a file system read access, but I think what it is that only backup is actually managing with the manager. Yeah. That makes sense. So backup does disk. We don't have to worry about that. And then for category, that's a little harder to categorize. We can kind of realm it, but okay. So admin is literally just admin. I think that's it. Okay. So for AI service, does it have SQL? No. Does it have I mean, AI service, I'm pretty sure has game service. I don't know how we best categorize that. Probably searching for EGS. And you can see here, it's sending data to EGS. Okay. Now what about AI share? What is this? I don't recognize AI share. It's part of the shared repo. Does it have SQL? Does not. Does it have EGS? Yes. I'm assuming this is logic that the client and the server share with EGS related commands. Is this actually like a binary that gets built out? It's considered a library, so this can be removed. I guess that's another thing we're going to have to search for is, you know, which one of these are actually services versus runtimes. Okay. So backup service, we already know this is more of like an admin tool where it does maintenance. I don't think backup ever touches SQL. It used to have commands for the RingDB, but I'm pretty sure backup only interacts with EGS and does admin related tasks. So I think that'll be fine. Okay. I'm already kind of familiar with a lot of these services. So, all right. So SQL, no luck. Does EGS come with dynamic? It should. Nope. What is dynamic scenario anyways? Like, this is a weird one. It is a runtime. What is the string manager module? I don't even know what that is. Let's put a README in here. See what it summarizes this repo as. Handles creation, modification, deletion of dynamic scenarios. Can you summarize dynamic scenario in one sentence? Do you have an example of what exactly scenario is? Okay. This is really what these descriptions should be like. That's helpful. So the dynamic scenario service is really about the game. And it has to do with, like, to me, I'd almost imagine this being like boats or a defend the system. I'd have to look more into that, but that's interesting. Okay. So that's going to be in the game realm, I think. Now, what about EGS? Now, EGS is a big boy. Like, a very big boy. But the question for me is, does it have SQL? It never calls SQL directly, but I think it interacts with somebody that does. Who does it send messages to? That's something else I should be doing. If I do a search for send, I can take this code and I can comma delimit it. This is the dependencies. Messages, this random thing. So unfortunately, this means I have to go back on some of the old ones, but that's not a huge deal. So admin service, send. Admin service sends nothing. What about AI service? It sends a lot. You're supposed to make that unique only. You didn't. Well. Like that one doubles up iOS as well. Okay. Why is this unique not doing it? Is it because of the spacing? I think so. Weird. Okay. Next is backup. I'm just going to write that and interesting, backup sends backup messages. It must be like the interior connected stuff. Arguably what we need to do is be like out and then have like an in as well. Or here, let's make it destination. But for now, we'll just focus on that. Okay, so entity game service. What this is really doing, by the way, is I'm just creating a input-output system. All right, entity view service sends to EIS. What is entity view service even about? Yeah, I'm not fully sure on how the entity view system, corresponds with others, but I think it's considered in the data realm. Okay. So iOS and EGS. Okay. Oh, there's BBS in there as well. Front end, I'm pretty confident is part of a game without even having to like go through it a lot. What is gameplay module? Does it truly... This is obviously a library. Yeah. Probably the same with game share. So this won't be perfect because some of these services inherent things that don't come up on my search easily. But it's good enough. We don't even know what GPM service does. Apparently it never sends messages, at least. Yeah, it's going to be a while, Dougal. I'm spending a lot of time just cleaning up, infrastructuring, familiarizing. And there's just so many repositories. It's going to take me a while, but Game Position Manager server manages entity positioning. Okay. So this is like global positioning. It's a GPS or something. This is obviously in game. What about iOS service? What are you doing? Input output service. No queries. What do you send? You send to EGS. And what do you do as far as, you're probably in the game realm. I won't go into details. Like, I keep doing that, but honestly, if I can discern what it goes to, I'll just move on. Log analyzer service has no sends. It has no query. Oh, it does, but this is not the right query. Is log analyzer a... Excuse me. I think log analyzer is more in the admin realm without even getting into it. Okay. So what about send? What about query? This is the logger service. I'm assuming this is going to be admin as well. Did I just search? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so send. This goes to EGS. Does it have any queries? No. Honestly, what I should do is take this out, search for query. And we can see that like the session browser is one of the few. But that's the RingDB. But you can see RingDB has I hate the pluralization, but then not pluralization. That drives me bonkers. Characters. Sessions. Holy crap. Session participant. And ring users. All right. These are the queries for SQL. For character sync, where's character sync? This is in shard unifier. We have sessions. MFS mail. MSS erased mail series. Known users. Session participant. Characters. Ring users. Sessions is already in there. Oh, we got a user of shard. I'm pretty sure unifier is the one that actually sets the shard online or not. So this is going to be impacting us very soon with where I'm at with the pipeline. Guilds. Guild invites. Player rating. Journal entry. Folder. Folder access. Scenario. Session log. VM status. User. MFS guild thread. Already have MFS. Permission. Okay. Scenario. Yeah, you see all these inline SQL queries? I want to get those out of some point. Oof, what is this? This is generating XML. Oh, it's this XSLT file. I don't even know what this is, but anyways, there's all the SQL queries. So shard unifier is my biggest target for converting this to SQL. And in fact, I think that's potentially it. Like with login service doing some of the responsibilities with user and shard, I only have to worry about shard unifier and session browser to fully convert the SQL parts of the system, which would be nice. But all right, continuing back on mirror service. So now all we need to look for is the send command, because this can I just type it in? Not easily. I can't do it confidently. PD, I'm pretty sure, is a library. Yeah. PD service is definitely an install. And this would be, there's nothing in that. What about reference builder? Ooh. Nothing. Okay, what about server share? I think server share is considered a library. I mean, we could still search it because unfortunately, like MFS is part of server share, and MFS likely is called by a few things. I might have to debate that part. Anyways, what does session browser get actually? Nothing. What about shard unifier? This one should be massive. Nothing? Interesting. So support service. Oops. Called PD support service, technically. Doesn't send anything. What about tick? Do MS only. Oops, wrong one. Okay, and then lastly is welcome service, which only sends to ls. Okay. One thing we need to do is figure out who all incorporates server share. I think you can just do this. And if it incorporates server share, I believe that alone should be enough to constitute MS on all these entries. So like AI has front end does not, but GPM does. Input, output, logger. Mir does not support. Session browser. Shard unifier. And AI share, which again, AI share has server share. So anything that inherits AI share inherits this. So now let's look for AI share. So AI share already has it. Dynamic scenario does already. EGS does already. And view service does already. Okay. I do have a lot of work. Honestly, though, it exists and I can get it to spin up. But I'm attempting to rewrite things as I go. Like, arguably, if we wanted to just get snowballs running, we need to just find a server that will accept passwords. And I think welcome might. Like, if welcome allows me to auth, it doesn't. Who can auth me? Can the shard unifier? This is part of the ring DB system, which, by the way, where's ring? Part of game share. How many files include game share? 31. Virtually all of them. And see, game share has a lot of EGS, BS, GPMS, iOS. So this isn't fully cohesive still because game share is a dependency all these have. So yeah, those intercoupling dependencies is making this more and more complicated to track. I could just do that real fast though, where if it's game share, you get these. And in order to get these, you just need to be on the list. Okay, so AI service on top of what it has is also this, which BS, DSS, EGS is already known, but iOS and GPMS are now new. Okay, backup service. We already know BS, we don't know these two. Okay, dynamic scenario. Entity game service. BS is not known. DSS is not known. EGS calls itself technically. GPMS and iOS. Okay. Entity view service. You see what I mean? Like everybody has the potential to be calling all these. But the problem with all these is this is a shared lib that doesn't necessarily you know, imply that they're using it. It's just more that they have this ability to, if they call the functions that have those send messages in them. So there's like a indirect potential for them to have it. Okay. So like client authentication is literally inside of monitor service. What we could even do is let's just search for the actual header. Because I know every time you try to log in, use VLP. The only thing that uses VLP, yeah, we've taken out the auth chain. So login is not in a problem state. The only problem that LS or login has right now is, okay, let me show you what's happening, and we can talk now a little bit more about why I spent that time and what comes next. We need the inbound, the source later, but we're not going to fret on that right now. I also didn't touch any of these. Which is interesting because collision is a snowball exclusive. Huh. Anyways, so what we're going to do, I'll show you a demo. Why aren't I getting the JSON file? Dev container snowball. Let me reload the window. That feels wrong. There we go. All right, so if we start this up with login. Oh, okay. Okay, so the login started. Next, let's start the client. We now authenticate, and we have a breakpoint here. We have a bunch of breakpoints, even though this is fine now. The key thing I was going to show is that client is now communicating with server. This is an update from yesterday, and we are actually getting the login, and it's attempting to connect to shard 1. However, login client doesn't like, because there's no shard available. So we're essentially hitting this point on the server. And I'm going to actually inject a fake shard so that we can get past this. However, you can see immediately it's calling what's called authorize only for CS. Now, I don't know which CS, which service is CS. I think login service is that. That's the choose shard entry. So what we're going to do is like a hack to see if we can continue the pipeline is that we have a shard create method here. And when we create this shard, Oh, this doesn't tell you the words very well. All right, so where is it at? Shard. Right here, create a shard ID 1 or 0. This, we could actually make a second one. We're going to call this new shard. Okay, so new shard is going to be snowball server. New shard needs some properties. I don't know why it's not auto-completing for me. Like, what are you doing? Give me this data. And then basically, we're going to populate new shard here. And we don't have to do the validation step. This will make a shard ID 1. We want application. Is it even a field? Client application. I think it's this. All right. Why aren't you configuring? I have to build from scratch. That's stupid. Anyways, this should fix this. I don't understand why instantiating a new element is failing as if it's not. Is this like it expects an arrow? My question then is why are these fine? Or that should be a pointer dereference, a star? Yeah, that's what I figured. Like, that's what I was doing. But it's weird that the compiler is not able to discern this very well. It's all right. We'll see. Anyways, so now we've technically instantiated the shard, and when the client connection hits, come on. The client connection connects, shard by client application. I don't fully remember what this sends. It sends snowballs all lowercase. Let's change it to snowball singular. And let's create this with that as well. Because that's kind of an auth to make sure you're logging into the right server. And let's see if we can get farther along on my auth chain with that. It's a little weird I had to recompile everything because I haven't changed any CMake files. And it should have kept my session from my other machine earlier, but oh, we got an error. What? Conflict declaration? Oh, wait. That I understand. This is what it was supposed to do. It's just a delta. Perfect. Okay. So, what we're going to do now is go in here, spin up the login, and then can we just split this window and then just run make? Okay. Server shard failed. Oops, I missed it. Server shard failed. Invalid shard selected. So we're getting farther. Why does this show the same ID twice? Oh. Technically, new created was shard 0. This is wrong. Because shard create returns the data populated. Like this. Shard created with ID 1. Okay. So now we got to get into the shard selection code. We did tweak this a little bit. I wonder if that shard ID is the same every time. Because it actually generates it weird. Oops. Just run make. Looks like it's always the same. So I could potentially put that in here. Oh, we got a breakpoint. Okay. So select shard update unknown. The shard is not available. It's still coming up during select shard update. This is just the response from the client side. But this shard is not available. Is a failure because getting the shard by shard ID. How is it getting this number? If no login, so it's going to be single. This seems like you're doing it. No login, so it's going to be single player. No, this is multiplayer. This is me authorizing on the login server and trying to get the exchange. When I finish this part, I can give you guys a copy of the Snowballs client and you would be able to connect to the server. But how is this shard list populated? We come in here, we've authenticated. It's trying to get the shard list, but like what modified this? I don't see it being touched here. So during verify login password, we get the VLP back. And it's supposed to be serialized. Okay. So in other words, this should be 1 still, but the VLP response is incorrect. So we send out a VLP, and when this succeeds, this data point is off kilter for some reason. Interesting. How does this do arrays? Like, the shard count isn't listed here. Okay. But on the client side, okay. So we get the reason. If the reason is empty, then yeah, this is already wrong. Because this is passing UID, but UID should just be, this is totally different payloads. This should be the shards size. Okay, so this is the number of shards. I don't know why this is... Can you just fix this for me, or do I have to go find... I think that'll fix it. Okay, so then we're getting a list of shards into a uint32. What's up with serial? Like, I understand this is a template class, but like, it doesn't support a lot of types. I'm gonna just hardcode this to 1 for now. There's technically 2 shards though. Will that at least compile? No. Does this just need to be stringified? Like, player count is an int32t. It supports on the memstream serial of standard string. And it obviously supports... How do you... uint32 is supported. Can I, int32. Does that fix it? No. What's the error? No instance of serial matches uint32. But over here, cmemstream serial has a uint32 pointer. Because it's cmessage, where this is... No, they're both cmessage. Can you give me a list of the overloads? Yeah, it's right here. So I guess it might be serial hex. You can see them all right here. Why aren't these overloads calling? cast. Okay. These are warnings. Where's the actual error? I need to get more context on this error. Holy warnings. Error. No matching function for cmessage serial UN32. Am I missing something obvious? Like, this is a simple cast. Why isn't this working? But it's an integer. I'm very confused right now. Can I, like, why am I... So that's fine. I'm about to get messy. But okay. Anyways, we got to get this serializer to work with the UN32 at some point. But that aside, once that happens, we get shard name, the number of players, and the shard ID. So yeah, technically if we fix this, it'll work. I just don't know why this isn't working. Let's see if AI will just pop it up real quick. I mean, that's literally what we were doing. What am I missing? Okay. That makes sense. I always forget about this bullshit. Oh, I forgot a semicolon. Dirt. I mean, the hint was really over here. Okay, so let's start the server up again. And let's start the client up. Okay. So we're still getting 1 shards are available, and then it has the shard ID. There's technically 2 shards available. So that's already wrong. Let's do a check to make sure shard out is proper. Shard count is 1. Where's it getting shards at? This has to do with shards. Yeah, it's shards by client ID. Oh, there should be one. That's correct. The problem is, why does shard ID probably has to do with this. Let's see if that fixes it. Happened there? Connection refused. Okay. So we've now successfully done the exchange and faked the shard. And so now we're trying to connect to 49997, which is the... Wait, no, never mind. This is wrong. I just spun it up too fast. Okay, so we have... It's still sending a shitty shard number. Let's try it again. Shard ID. What are you setting shard ID to? 1. Okay. So this part is sending correctly. This part is receiving it incorrectly. So let's see if I can breakpoint on the client and still get it to render. I think I can through the debugger. Yeah. This is me sending the message out. That's fine. This is the reason being validated. All right, here we go. So SEID is indeed going weird. Players is correct. Name is also incorrect. The number of shards is indeed 1, though. Let's test something. If I comment these out and instead call like this. Is this still breakpointed? It doesn't look like it is. We need this breakpointed. Okay. We're still having the same errors. So reason is empty. Shard count is now correctly 1. We have shard name. Is it the serializer? SE name is a UC string. I wonder if this will impact it. We're making pretty good progress, by the way. This is a big step. I'm kind of just learning on the networking and how flexible it is with data types, essentially. And I am doing an auth exchange on code that I kind of rewrote. So this is a pretty big deal. Yeah, see, shard name is still empty, even when I do a string conversion. Also, shard ID being set as a int32, and it's getting populated into a sint32, which is an alias for int32t. So they're one and the same, I'm pretty sure. But why does the serializer struggle with strings? I mean, this isn't a new concept. This is just a string, which I know string is just standard. That shouldn't impact anything. Still empty. Let's go find an example of the messaging getting sent like we have right here and see if we can spot anything different. So like bot's name is part of this messaging, and it's just a standard string. This is part of the bot's name. Where is this being declared? Come on, give me the version that doesn't. It's just a standard string. And then it adds a bunch of string manipulation, sends it, message out serial. There's nothing about this that is incorrect compared to what I'm doing. I mean, I guess there's a chance. It doesn't like my entity binding. I just am watching. I have no clue what this is, but cool to see you do it. This is programming in C++. That's basically what this is. I'm spinning up the client. It's trying to authenticate with my login server. And then the login server is sending a payload for the number of servers to collect, you know, like services. And for some reason, the shard name, which is populated, is being sent empty. And I'm trying to identify why. That's happening. And this setup's nice, by the way, because watch, I can breakpoint so that when the login server gets the request right here, I can see, okay, what is shard name set to? Oh, it's actually set to nothing. So that is correct. It is sending nothing. The shard ID is being sent to 1, though. Then when it comes to the client side, shard ID is getting set to a weird number. it's almost as if SCID is not compatible. So what we can test is wait, not player count. I wanted this to be shard ID. Talking about it helps sometimes, just speaking out loud. Okay, let's try this again. So client connects. We have a shard name of nothing, player count of 0, and shard ID of 1. Okay, continue. Go over to here. Shard ID is a garbled mess. Why? int32t to an int32t serializing. Is it the MB player count? It's also an int32t to NB players is a uint8. That'll do it. We want this to be I'm overloading a variable with the serialized data. This is why you want contracts. You want to have contracts between the client and the server so that what gets received and what gets sent doesn't have this weird anomalies like this. All right, so shard ID should be 1. Shard ID is 1. There we go. So we've now hit a point where the server is prompting you to select a shard. Oh, this is getting a little gross. Let me close these off. Yeah. So the client is asking you to select shard. Let me run that again. It was a little laggy with all the instances and stuff. So let's start up login again. Let's run a make. See, it says select shard, but there's no way to select shard. There's also an error with this, but we can ignore that for now. Okay, so we're in this code now. Select shard begin. And it's going to be whatever SID is. What is SID? Let's actually run a debugger on that. Set to 1. This is good. Is the result empty? No. So we've succeeded. We're going through, we're doing a select shard update now. But I don't know why this isn't being received right. it's waiting for the SCS from login to confirm that the shard has been selected. And I don't think SCS is currently in login. Yeah, you see this where it's saying a CS? It's sending it to T-Service ID. It's sending it to the shard instance. So it's basically attempting to connect to a shard that doesn't currently exist because I don't think I have welcome running. Okay, so yeah, everything's working as intended. I am just needing to reconsider how this infrastructure is going to get bound in now. Let me breakpoint to make sure I'm at that point. Yeah, we are. So we're getting a message out that basically says, hey, CS, this user is attempting to log in. And yeah, we're constructing a service ID. Will you step into this? Yeah, so we're getting the instance here, which right now, it has no welcome server address. This is the actual error right here. It's attempting to iterate this IDX instance. Okay, so basically we're at a point where the unified service is trying to do a handoff. Yeah. Okay, so this is where it gets complicated because I basically injected my own login service and I did the full exchange, and it's now at a point where it's trying to do a handoff to welcome, and I then have to sit down, figure out welcome, how I can fabricate this shard instance in the unified service as well as login and welcome. So yeah, but we're on the right track. Arguably, I might be able to sidestep the welcome service. But this unified network send, how is this actually getting called again? I forgot the stack. In fact, let's just breakpoint here real fast before we call it. I'm about to wrap up soon, though. And what we're going to test is what sends here. Like, what does the stack look like when we get to this point? All right, so, okay, when we get to this point, we are through Login is doing an update. It's doing a connection client update. We're processing the message, right? We know all this. This method here is obviously sending it through the unified network to basically say, try to find the shard instance, which I think is actually the welcome service address. So what we could maybe try, it won't work, but we need unified service. And because we don't have a binding yet of the shard to a front end and all that kind of junk, I got to do more research to get this to fully work. But we're getting progress, and that's good. I have a bunch of changes I should probably clean up. I totally stripped out the web login connection stuff because it's never used. I also took out, or I had to instantiate login service. Change some things to standard string. There's some hard-coded stuff in here that I'll have to fix later, but that's fine. We're learning. I also made it symlink the directories. So like, yeah, pretty good progress. Login client, I bumped to uint32. This could have side effects on client later. This is already a uint32. I'm making it an int32t. So what I probably should do is make it uint32t. Seriously? Okay. And then NB players is player count as well. We still have an issue with the shard name and the number of shards. Is this, well, no, it isn't a problem. Okay, let's build this as well. Should be a fast one. Just want to make sure everything's happy before I call it off. Yep, we're happy. We're still progressing fine. Okay. And then what about client? Did you compile yet? Ah, crap. That'll take a while, but I'm pretty confident it'll be fine. I added in a relative path for 7-zip, and I've increased the number of player in login client to 32, which I don't think actually is used by... Is login client never used by client? It is. It's right here. Okay. Interesting that worked, because it must not have like fully instantiated or something. I guess we could verify that real fast. So login client calls NV players with what actually calls this? This is during loop login. I don't know if there's an easy way to search for this. I don't think it's being used, honestly. But too hard to tell. Anyways, it doesn't matter. If it's not impacted, then there's not really a downside. That just means that this is actually Snowball's login logic, and we could probably take it out of shared, which I like. I don't like things being in shared if I don't have to. So fix NB players count and miscellaneous library linking. Okay, then here, change player count to uint32. And then client failed. Why did client fail? Oh, this is not. This is a good fail. This is because I currently have my static flag on. And that's fine. I know that one's a problem right now. Anyways, so we're done. Overall, pretty good progress. We're currently properly negotiating Snowball with Login, and we're getting them to communicate and do the handoff to Unified Service, where it's going to possibly get to front end and do the full shebang. Because of the way Snowball has been hacked together, there's a chance Unified is not truly supported by Snowball, because I think Unified was added later. So we may need to tweak the networking library to use a more deprecated route or something, so that it calls front end instead. And, you know, these other services that you see here. So that's in the to-do. We're not going to bother with that today. And yeah, this is complex, Dougal. I don't expect you to follow, but just know that I've made progress and I'm continuing to progress. And while a lot of this work is not fully applicable to the true client and server, it's relevant, because one of my end goals with Rune Harvest is to simplify the server infrastructure. It's too complex in my book, like overly convoluted, too many services, too much going on, and it's hard to just cohesively understand end to end what's happening. So anything I can do to clean that up, I'm looking for opportunities for. So, but anyways, we're moving along. That's pretty much it. I think I'm going to end the stream with that, but thank you again, Dougal, and anyone else that's lurking. I'll upload this on YouTube for people that don't catch my stream. They can, you know, listen in, check out, see what I'm up to. And yeah, thanks again, guys. Have a good one.